Hi everyone, it's Kathleen from Crafts by Kathleen. Hope everyone's doing well today. I'm doing a coffee and cards wrap up. So this week we made this bookbinding card using the Sweet Memories stamp and die set from Gina K. We also used her foliage fillers. So these make some great leaves. I love this die set. And then we used the Gina K embossing folder. So I'm going to show you how we used all of these products and put together this beautiful card. No coloring, all of your pop of colors coming from that pink. As you well know, my favorite colors here at the shop are pink and teal. So whenever I get to do anything that's using one of my colors, it really excites me. So this was a great card. I embellished it with some black ink. I used a little bit of black ribbon here, and I just did my stamp in plain black. That way you don't have to color it. If you want to do a little bit of a pop of color, you can take some of that light carnation and do a little bit of not stenciling, but blending. You can do a little bit of blending in the center of the flowers. Not a lot, just enough to give it a little bit of a pop. I didn't think that it needed it. I also did all of my leaf cutouts in pink, but some of the ladies at the shop, they used some black. So I think today when we recreate this card, we're going to put some black leaves in there. I know it sounds a little spooky, especially since Halloween's coming up, but the black leaves really did make the card pop, so we're going to do that this time, all right? So I'm going to turn the camera down to my workspace, and we're going to get to it. All right, and you do know that Cards and Coffee is still every Monday and every Tuesday at 10 and 11:30, and then we did add Wednesday evenings at 6 o'clock. So if you're out working or you're too busy during the day to be able to come to Cards and Coffee on Monday and Tuesday mornings, we would love to see you on Wednesday nights. We have a few ladies that have started coming. It was a little boring when I was sitting here by myself, but I do have some friends now to sit and card with and talk with, and I love it. So please, I would love to have you come on Wednesday evenings if Mondays and Tuesdays don't work for you. And don't forget, this Friday we have our movie night with our open studio. So we're going to have some popcorn and movies going on while we're doing our open studio. The popcorn and movies are going to start around 5, but open studio starts at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. You can bring a snack to share. If you don't feel like it, just bring yourself, and then bring anything you want to work on, and we sit around the craft room and we do all kinds of fun activities and just sit and enjoy each other's company. And you don't have to be a paper crafter. We have a lady that does diamond dots, another lady that does crocheting, and they come and hang out with us on Fridays. We love it. It's a great time for the girls to get together. All right, so let's get to what we're here to do. Let's make a beautiful card. All right. Okay, that should be down on the workspace. Hopefully that's working right. This is the first video that I'm doing here at the new shop, so I had to rearrange some of my my camera equipment and computers and all of that fun stuff. Plus, my husband's still setting up some new programs for me to start using, so that'll be exciting. All right, so this is what we call a bookbinding card. So it's a 5.5 by 5.5 card that opens. However, this 1.25 inch right here is actually glued to the back of the card. So let me show you what I mean. So we're going to start with a piece of 8.5 by 11 cardstock. I'm going to use some plain white here. I'm just moving some stuff out of my way so that we've got plenty of room. And I do want to try and pull this up. Give me 1 second to see if I can pull this up on the computer. Like I said, we've got a new setup going here, and I want to see how this is working. All right, there we go. All right, so I can see it. I can see the comments. I see that there's somebody that's loved the video. That's great. Please, if you watch the video, give us a thumbs up. And if you wouldn't mind, share it. Share it to other friends of yours. Share it to any groups that you're allowed to share videos in. The more views we get, the more our algorithm moves up on Facebook. I'm also going to start putting my videos on YouTube and TikTok. So if you are on any of those platforms, I'd really appreciate you sharing and getting our name out there. The more our name's out there, the more customers we can get into the store, which means the more new friends we can make. And the more friends we have, the more successful the store is. So one little way of helping us out is by sharing the videos. All right, so back to our card. Again, we're going to be cutting this bookbinding card. It's 5.5 by 5.5. So normally we like to cut our papers right here in half on the 11-inch side. We're not doing that today. Today we're going to cut on the 8-inch side. So it'll be 5.5 across on the 8.5-inch side and 11 inches. So let me get my trimmer out. Got my big We Are Memory Keepers trimmer with our super wonderful, comfortable blade here. I don't know if you can see it. Let me move this over. So this blade is nice and comfortable, and look how big the numbers are. I'm a little bit older than I used to be, as we all are, and these big numbers really help me out because they're nice and dark. So we're working on the lighting here at the shop, so I still haven't gotten it exactly how I like it, but the nice dark numbers and they're nice big and bold, it really helps me with cutting. All right, so what we're going to do is cut this at the 5.5 mark on the 8.5-inch side. So we're going to put that in. Now, any of you that use these trim boards that have these little gullies in them, when you're measuring, make sure you're in the center of those gullies. If you're on the up part, these little niches here, you're gonna have your cuts off a little bit. And if it's off 1/16 of an inch here and 1/16 of an inch there, that's an 1/8 of an inch. A couple of times, so that's 1/4 of an inch. So if you, depending on how many cuts you've got in your card stock, you can really make a lot of mistakes doing it that way. So right here in the center of my little valley, I'm going to make sure that's where my paper is, in the center right there at 5.5. And I'm going to cut that, set my white scraps aside, and when I cut my pink and my black, I'm going to set them aside because that's what we're going to cut our leaves out of. All right, then we're going to take this little, I call it the score door. So we're going to take the little score door, turn it over, and we're going to score this at 5 and on the 11-inch side. We're going to score this at 5.5 and 4 1/4. So we're going to score at 5.5. Make sure it's nice and even. Then we're going to go to 4 1/4. All right. So that gives us 1 1/4 inches here. So that's what's going to actually get glued down to the other side. So you should have a medium section, a small section, and a large section. And you're going to glue that small section and large section together. All right, so we're going to take our paper, and I heard a funny term, bury the worm, so that you know how to do your folding. So you're supposed to take your mountain and put that as the fold. So they call that the worm, and if you bury the worm, you're folding correctly. All right, so we're going to fold that at the 5.5-inch mark. Give that a little fold. Get out my handy dandy bone folder. Need to get it cleaned up. It's got all kinds of glue all over it. It's well loved. And then we're going to fold back on that 4 1/4 inch side. Okay? Make sure that your paper's nice and even. Even when you put your score marks in, don't trust anything. Give it a good eyeing. Make sure your paper's nice and even. So this here is your small section, this here is your large section. So we're going to glue that down. I'm going to get rid of my trimmer right now, get us some more room to work. Okay, hopefully it won't fall there. And I'm going to grab my glue. Oh, this month in class we're actually going to be making the little glue pins, the little little glue bobs. So if you're interested, call the shop and save your spot. We've got plenty of spots left. We just got the calendar out this week. So make sure you look on Facebook for the calendar, and where it says glue pins, that's what we're talking about. This is the glue pin we're going to make in class. Not necessarily this one. Well, we have all the stuff to make this one, but you can make any kind that you want. I've got all kinds of little trinkets that you can put on it. So that's what goes in your little bottle to keep it from drying out. All right, so we're going to put glue right in here on that small section. And that's going to get glued right down to the large section, so that medium section is what actually opens and shuts for your card. Okay. So we've got that there. Now we're going to let that dry. While that's drying, let's cut our pink paper. So we've got some pink paper. And I've got my We Are Memory Keepers small guillotine, and I'm going to cut this in half because, well, that's what I do. I always seem to want to cut my papers in half because that's a regular card base for our A2 cards, and that makes it so that I can use what we're looking for. So on here, I want to cut a 1 1/8 inch slice that's 5.5 inches long. So I've cut it in half, it's 5.5 inches long, and I'm gonna go right here to the 1 1/8, hold my finger guard down there. That's gonna go right here in that 1 1/4 section that we just glued down on our card. All right, so we're cutting that at 1 1/8. And then we're going to hold on to this pink because we have a couple of things we're going to cut out of it. The leaves plus a rectangle that's going to be used in the background. Now with that 1 1/8 inch piece of the pink cardstock, we're going to emboss that. So let me move this trimmer out of the way, and I'm going to grab my Big Shot. Okay, we've got the Big Shot. Now I'm going to grab my Gina K embossing folder, and I'm sorry I took it out of the package and I don't have the name of it, but it's got this really pretty fine line print on it. So when we're working with something really small and you're going to choose a print that you're going to put onto a paper, or choose a paper that's got a print, you're going to want something small printed. You don't want something really big because then you're going to be cutting it all out. So we've got a nice small print that we're going to have here. And my Big Shot, let's get this. And I'm sorry if the camera's jiggling, but I've got the plate that I call it the Kathleen plate. It's for dummies here, so I don't have to worry about which plate I'm using. I just open this up for embossing, put that in. I'm going to put my one clear plate down. I'm going to put my embossing folder with my sliver of pink in it, and then put my other clear plate over it, and I'm going to get my pink paper to go through. And then because of the room on my desk, I'm going to bring it back rather than trying to reach the end. All right. And I'm going to take that out. Now I'm going to set it back up for die cutting. So for die cutting, you just bring all of the layers down, because the next thing we're going to do is do some die cutting. So I'm going to actually move this out of the way though, because we've got some inking to do. All right, so I'm going to do it on this piece of scrap paper. So inside of our embossing folder, we've got our little sliver of paper. Now, where the embossing folder impresses, the paper is going to be pushed down, and the bottom of the paper is going to be normal. Where it's depressed, I believe, embossed, is where the paper's been pushed up. So where that paper's been pushed up, we're going to do the little dragging method on it. So we've got our piece of embossed cardstock here, and we're going to use the Gina K Black Onyx ink, and we're just going to take and drag it across. And see what it does? It grabs where that paper's up. So we're going to go in both directions. And I do it a couple of times because I want it to really stand out. All right. See how that picks it up? All right, now we're going to close that ink because we don't want to get it all over the place. All right, so let's get rid of the scrap paper because it's got the ink all over it, and the last thing we want to do is get that on our card base. So let's get that out of the way. Let's let this dry, and in the meantime we're going to start with some of the other pieces to the card. So the next thing that we're going to do is cut out a piece of black cardstock that's going to measure 4 1/4 by 3. So we've got our black cardstock here. If I can get it out of my tray. I'm stuck. All right, we've got our black cardstock here, and we're going to cut this to 4 1/4. Right there, 4 1/4. And I'm going to just set that extra over there because we're going to cut some black leaves out. And then we're going to cut this down to a 3. All right. So we've got our 4 1/4 by 3, and then we've got our pink scrap here, and I'm going to cut a piece of this down to 4 1/8 by 2 7/8. So that's 4 1/8 right there by 2 7/8. So that's the line right before the 3. All right, we've got plenty of scrap here. We've got black scraps, pink scraps, white scraps. All right, so now this pink should fit right here in the center of this black. All right, so let's get that glued. Sure it's nice and even. All right, now this is going to get glued onto the background of the white cardstock. Now we're going to have that pink piece that we cut and embossed and then drug the black ink over here on the binding part. And this, we're going to make a little bit cockeyed here in the center of the paper. We're going to glue this down here in the center of the paper. Sorry, the phone was ringing. I had to send it to the answering machine because I'm here by myself. You know why? Because Shannon's on vacation in Poland, and she's not here to help me out. But that's okay. We've got this. We miss her. Can't wait until she gets back, though. All right, so we're going to glue this cockeyed. Do not overlap your score, or else you're going to keep your card from opening. Got this right here. Get that glued down. Now let's cut out some of these foliage leaves here. All right, so they come in this cute little package so that we can keep them all together, and they're called foliage fillers, and they've got some great leaves. They've got the embossed imprints of the veins of the leaves. They've got this cute little berry stem here. These kind of look like a rose leaf almost, and then there's these single leaves here. So if you need any kind of fillers for any of your flowered cards that you're printing, this is beautiful. These are absolutely gorgeous. So we're going to cut out some pink and black ones because I just love the way that the ladies had that going. And I think I'm going to use both of these. I'm going to use both of those larger leaves. So let's get the big shot back over here. Okay. We're going to put our pink scrap cardstock in here. We're going to lay both of these down. through the Big Shot. You can tell my plates are well loved. They're all scratched up and they're brand new. I just put these in a week ago. All right, so we've got one set of pink leaves. I think we might need a little shim. Okay, that one came out good. I'm going to put a little bit of a extra shim in there. All right, so let's run them through again. Let's make sure I can fit them all on here. All right, and then I'm just going to fold this piece of scrap paper in half here and lay that down over top of them before I put my plate on. And I think that should be enough pressure. Yeah, that's good pressure. All right. Oh yeah, there, popping out perfectly. Oh, so much easier, so much easier. A lot of times I hear, oh, my dies don't always cut, or all your dies are made out of metal. That metal, when they cut them out, it can be just a sliver thinner than the last time. Or this company might be using a company that uses just a little bit different of a metal. It doesn't mean that your dies don't work. It just means that you have to play with the shims. And I'm gonna reach across here, sorry, and grab my Gina K pick and stick tool. I love this tool. I've got some down here in my bag. I've got them here on my desk. I keep them all over the place. All right, so we're gonna pop this set of leaves out. So much easier. So all you have to do is play with your shims. It's not that your dies aren't working right. Your machine, as it gets older, sometimes the pressure changes a little bit, depending on how much you've used it, how much it's been abused. And a lot of times it's just taking a piece of paper and putting one extra piece of paper in there, maybe putting it in folded depending on how much, and then depending on the dies that you're using. So don't be too quick to decide that your dies aren't working. Sometimes it's just, you know, a little bit of playing with your machine. And I tell the ladies here at the shop that all the time, because we have tons of the mini machines. We've got different Big Shots. I've got the Empress. We've got Gemini. So it just, you know, it just really depends on what machine you're using, what brand of dies you're using. All right. So that's a lot of pink leaves. I think we're good on our pink leaves. Let's get some black ones cut out now. And the paper. Your paper, the thickness of the paper. So we've got Robin Hart, you're up watching us. Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much. You love this card? I love making this card. This has been one of my favorites. I love when we don't have to sit in color, but you've got something elegant. And I think the white with just a pop of color is so elegant. And I'm really excited about doing this one with the black leaves. Like I said, some of the ladies did the black leaves and they just came out so nice. All right, so we've got, here's a set of the black. I'll show you what I mean. So we've got, this one's the pink, and then they just slid the black right there behind it. Not out too much, but look how nice that looks. Okay, I don't know exactly how much you can tell, but once it gets on the card, you'll see what I mean. But we're just gonna put a couple of the black leaves right there behind it, behind the pink. All right, let's cut out another set of these. Yvonne. We miss you. Can't wait until you get back up there in Fort Wayne. I like being able to see if people are leaving me comments. This is great. Yvonne's saying hello. Well, hello, hello. We miss you. Miss your smiling face. Matter of fact, I'm wearing a shirt today that you gave me. All right. So we've got one. Let's cut one more of these out. I really like the way that looked. All right. So we're going to cut one more of the leaf dies out. All right, so now we're done with all of our dies. So we're going to take these and set them aside so I can put them back together so I don't lose them. Usually Shannon's here picking up the dies for me as I'm finishing up with them, keeps them nice and organized for me. Don't let her know how much we miss her. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to stamp. Ooh. See this? Someone set the stamp down back on the pad, but that's okay. You know what takes it off? Alcohol wipes. So whenever you have ink somewhere that you don't want it, this is one of my favorite tools. I keep them right here next to my chair on at my desk. You just rub it with an alcohol wipe. Look at that. There it goes, disappearing. All done. So you can get all of that ink off so that you can keep your stuff looking nice with alcohol wipes. See, look at that. See the ink up here? Just comes right off. And the reason I'm taking it off is I don't want to get it all over my paper because we're not coloring this in. We're leaving these flowers white. This is a no color card. So I want to make sure that I don't have any ink on my apparatus here before I stamp it, because then the ink will get all over my card. All right, so let's see here. I've got, oh, there we go. I've got my my computer so that I can see what's going on, and it was still back where Yvonne was saying hello. All right, so we've got this cleaned off. Now we're going to use a stamping platform, and we use the We Are Memory Keeper stamping platform here at the shop. And what we're going to do is take a piece of white cardstock, and I'm going to use my We Are Memory Keepers guillotine, and I'm just going to cut this in half, because we're going to be die cutting the flower out after we stamp it. And the Big Shot, you have to use a 5.5 by 8.5 piece of paper to send it through. All right, so this is the We Are Memory Keeper stamping platform, and you'll notice that it's got these pegs going down one side and going across the top. So what you do is you put your paper right in up against those pegs. So here in the corner, it's nice and snug. So that way you know every time you stamp, if you have to re-stamp it, it's going to be in the same position. So why I'm doing that with this is because we want this nice and dark. We want to make sure that all of the lines are there, because we're not coloring. This is it. This is the wow factor for this card. It's just these black stamped white flowers going on the front of your card with your beautiful pink and black leaves. All right, so we've got our We Are Memory Keepers stamping platform here. We've got our platform. Now what I do is I kind of look to make sure that my magnets aren't covered underneath of where my stamp's going to be. And this one here, it's underneath my stamp. I'm not putting it all the way down or anything like that. I just wanted to see what my stamp was going to be covering. So I'm going to take this, and I kind of knew it was, but I wanted to show you. I'm going to take this and move it over to the other side. So that way you'll see that it's nice and secure right there where it's going to fit. All right, so we're going to flip this over, and you always kind of lay your stamp down flat when you're inking it. So I'm going to ink this, and my rule of thumb is if my stamp is bigger than my ink pad, I put my pad down. And most of the time when you're using, I think all the time when you're using a Stampin' platform, no matter what one it is, if it's a Stampin' Up! One or the Vasson Creativity that I like to use, the We Are Memory Keepers, the Misties, whatever it is, Tim Holtz, you're always going to use the ink on top of your stamp. So, but my rule of thumb is anyway, if my stamp's bigger than my ink pad, I always stamp down. If my stamp is smaller than my ink pad, I always stamp onto my ink pad. So I'm going to ink up this stamp, and I give it a tap twist, tap twist. That's how I ink my really big stamps. I want to make sure I've got plenty of ink on there and get nice coverage. Tap it, okay? And I'm going to set my ink pad over there. I'm going to pick this up, make sure my paper's still in there nice and snug, and it is. We're going to turn this over, cut it upside down, and we're going to press this down. Now, we've got all kinds of little rub-a-dubs, Chuckies, whatever you want to call it. Matter of fact, We Are Memory Keepers actually has one so that it's more of a triangle shape, so that it fits right in here with your stamping platform, so that it gets all of your thing. This, my little Secret Santa had in my stocking for me this year, so I like to use this one. It looks like it was made out of maybe a candle top, a Yankee candle top, and then it's got the felt down here. So I'm just rubbing that around on my Stampin' platform because I want to make sure that I've got a nice coverage on this paper. All right, we're going to lift that up, and look at that. It's beautiful, beautiful. I don't even have to do it a second time. All right, so I'm going to set this over here. I'm going to put the lid on my ink so that I don't stick my hand in it, because if you know me, you know I've stuck my hand in quite a few of those ink pads. Now we're going to die cut this out. So, again, this is the Sweet Memories stamp and die set that we're using from Gina K. And it's got a nice big die. Look at that big honking die. All right, so we're going to get that on here. I've got my Post-it note tape so that it stays right where I put it. Just gonna tear that in half. And I love the Post-it note tape. We sell it here at the shop, so I use it for labeling anything that is just temporary. I use it for my die cuts. I use it for a lot of stuff. All right, so we've got this, and it doesn't rip the paper. So let's, do I have, oh, I didn't have my plate down there. All right, now we're good. And I don't think I'm gonna need to shim this. This usually cuts pretty nice. There's not a lot of detail. When there's not a lot of detail, a lot of times your die cuts work a lot easier. All right, so we're gonna send this through, and again, because of the camera, I'm gonna bring it backwards instead of shifting it all the way up there, or spinning it all the way up there. Did we cut out? I believe we did. We cut out just fine. All right, look how beautiful that is. Isn't that pretty? All the details in those leaves. All right, so we're gonna take this, set that aside, and we're gonna put this beautiful card together. All right, you know what we're using, Reptile Glue. All right, let's get the card base. We've already glued down our black and pink background. Okay, see how we've got our black and pink background back there. Now what we're going to do is, I need Pop Dots. Do I have any Pop Dots right here? Yes, I do. Okay, so we've got some Pop Dots because we're going to be popping up the flower. But first we're going to take our pink strip that we did and we're going to glue that down right here in the binding section. So I'm going to put my glue on the back here, just covering it. All right. Now it should reach from top to bottom, but you should have a little bit of white on both sides. Now you do not want to cover that score mark or else your card's not going to open and close properly. So you just want that over just enough, but it's reaching the top and the bottom. Okay, we've got that on there. Get that pressed down. Look how pretty that looks. That's just so pretty. All right, now we're going to take our flower. You're going to notice this section of the flower, there's almost a straight line from this tip to this where it sticks out. That's what's going to go on the edge where the score line is. This part of the flower that's more dimensional is going to be sticking out. So what I want to do is kind of figure out where I want to put these leaves. Now I want to put these leaves back to back like this so that the black one is just sticking out just a little bit from the pink one. And then I'm going to put a couple little dots of glue down on the pink leaves so that it holds the black one in place. I'm going to put it on the top 3 leaves and I'm just going to tap them together. I'm not going to do very much with it. All right, so I want that to go there. I'm going to do that again with another set of these leaves. So I'm going to put on the top 3 leaves just little dots so that it holds that black and pink leaf combination together. All right, and then I think I'm going to stick this one down here, just like that. Okay. And I've got one more of that style leaf. Put those together too. And then we've got a couple of these style. I don't know, I like well, let's put them together and we'll see if it looks too busy. All right, so I'm just doing the same thing, just tapping them together. And I'm thinking kind of under, yeah, kind of like that, a little bit there. Let's put the second one together and we'll put it down here in this corner. All right, so we glue these leaves together. All right, and I'm going to put this one down in this corner. So what I want to do is lift these flowers up, and then I'm going to put the glue down here. Put these back in place. Now I'm not gluing the whole leaf. I'm just putting glue kind of on the stem. And I don't want any of my leaves hanging over my my white cardstock. So let's get that glued down. And we've got this one. Just a little bit on the stems. Leaves back behind the stems. I want that so that it's not hanging over the white cardstock. A little bit more on this one. Put that down. And then this one, I think I'm going to just bring this one over just a little bit. All right, so that's it for the leaves, okay? So they get glued down onto the card base. But with the flower, we're actually going to pop the flower up, and that's going to give the card a little bit more dimension. So we've got our pop dots here. I like to use my pick tool for my pop dots. It really helps you place them down in the right spot. And it helps you move along quicker. Plus, if you don't, okay, so I've done this with nails and I've done it without nails. I can't make it work either way. These little backings here on your pop dots, they're a pain in the butt sometimes. So what I do is I take my little take your pick tool and I just use that to pop them off. Oh, look, I used one of my ones I cut in half. But I just use that to pop them off. So much easier than fighting with them. So we've got those popped off. Now remember, we want this side of the stamp to be up against where our score line is, so that, because that's the straighter side. We're just going to place this down. You don't want your score line covered, and you don't want your flowers hanging off your card backing. All right, so we've got that. That's down. All right, and that's just about it. We're going to add a bow to it. Do I have ribbon over here? Yes, I got my ribbon. All right, everybody wonders how come I can make my bows so quick. We're just folding it in half. All right, you're holding it with your middle finger and your thumb. You're going to bring it across your thumb, fold this in half, tuck it through the hole, and pull. It's just like tying your shoe. The important part is you're adjusting with your bow. It's not going to turn out perfect right as you tie it. You have to play with it a little bit, and you just adjust it. After you adjust it, you have a perfect little bow. Look at that. See that? Perfect little bow. All right, so we're just going to trim that off. Tighten it up just a little bit. Now, I don't use glue dots to put my bows down. I know a lot of people say that they like to use their glue dots. I have not had luck with my glue dots staying stuck. They always seem to pop off no matter what I'm using it for. I just use my reptile glue. All right, I put a little dot where I want to put my bow, and then the back of your bow, there's a nice little flat section there in the center. I just push that down, puff up my little centers there, hold it in place for a couple of seconds, let that glue kind of get tacky underneath there, and it sticks. All right, so there we go. Now, do we have the black sequence? Yes, we do. So we've got our Midnight Sequence from Gina K. I'm going to put a couple of those on. Just take a little pinch of them, pull them out, and this is what this stick and pick and stick tool. So the first end that we used was the silver end. That was the pick tool. That was really good to get your paper out of your dies. This end, this is a wax end. This is what you use to pick up your gems, your sequence, so you don't have to sit and play with them. Now remember, when you're putting sequence on, you want it bowl up. So I'm just going to put 3 little black sequins on. I want one there, and one here. All right, so I'm going to pick it up with the wax end of my stick and pick. And I'm just going to place those sequins right where I put my glue. And that's it. We're done. Look at this card. Isn't it beautiful? And no coloring. It's elegant. It's got embossing on it. You've got this beautiful flower, these beautiful foliage leaves, foliage fillers from Gina K. And you've got a beautiful wedding card, birthday card, sympathy card. This card can be used for anything. All right, well, I hope that I've inspired the creativity within you and inspired you to make one of these beautiful cards. Oh, hi, Jan. We've been waiting. Oh, there's 2 Jans watching. Hi, both Jans. One Jan's made the card this week, and the other Jan, we're waiting for her to get back down here so we can have some fun. So again, I hope I've inspired the creativity within you. Please remember, we're located at our new shop is located on Massachusetts Avenue. We're at 6518 Massachusetts Avenue. We're open Monday through Friday from 10 to 5. We're open on Saturdays 10 to 3. And there is open studio every Friday evening. Friday afternoon starting at 2 o'clock until Friday evening at 7 o'clock. And this week is our movie night. So we're going to have a movie and popcorn and a lot of fun. So please join us here. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.